Ladies and gentlemen, in this Reorganize video, we have some more news concerning Microsoft. They're going to be reorganizing all of their divisions. This comes after, of course, the new Xbox head has been announced, Julie Larson-Green. So now they're going to be split into a dozen groups, and these include operating system engineering, device and studio engineering, applications and services engineering, cloud and enterprise engineering, dynamics, advanced strategy and research, marketing, business development, and a lot more besides. So what's the purpose of this? Well, according to Steve Ballmer, who is of course the CEO of Microsoft, it is to promote a far-reaching realignment of the company that will enable us to innovate with greater speed, efficiency, and capability in a fast-changing world. Now, the one that's going to be probably specific to many of my viewers is going to be the department known as the Devices and Studios Engineering Group. Now, these contain, and I quote, all hardware development and supply chain from the smallest to largest devices we build, and experiences include all games, music, video, and other entertainment. Now, as I've reported in a previous video, this is going to be headed up by Julie Larson-Green. Now, she used to be the former head of Windows products, and as I've mentioned, her resume is quite impressive. She's been with Microsoft for about 20 years now, and she has worked on everything from Windows 8 all the way to from, say, Office. And so she has obviously had multiple pieces of experience when it comes to the software side of things. I have mentioned that I'm going to be very curious on how she deals with the gaming side of things, although arguably, of course, it can't be much worse than how Don Matrick handled it. Now, apparently, speaking of which, the role was apparently originally going to be offered to Microsoft's interactive entertainment business, who of course was Don Matrick, but he obviously left Microsoft. So in other words, he was going to be almost promoted up the ladder a little bit. So Aaron Greenberg, meanwhile, on Twitter, decided he is, by the way, the former chief of staff, to be precise, of Microsoft's interactive entertainment business, and he clarified that he's going to be staying on the team, and he will be chief of staff for devices and studios. So his job basically will be to head that up and report to Larson-Green directly. Meanwhile, what about operating system engineering? Well, this is also important to console gamers, not just PC gamers, as this work will span all operating system work for console, mobile devices, PC, and to back-end systems. This will be actually taken care of by Terry Myerson, and he actually was the former head of Windows Phone, the business development, and he will basically be focusing on key partnerships, and he will be also running and focusing on things with Tony Bates. Now, he was the former head of Skype, and they will be focused on, the two together will basically be focusing on, and I quote, our broad work of evangelism and developer outreach. And as I said, that will be headed up by Tony Bates as well, who is, as I've said, the former head of Skype. Now, the purpose of this is, and I quote, we are rallying behind a single strategy as one company, not a collection of divisional strategies. Although we will deliver multiple devices and services to execute and monetize a strategy, the single core strategy will drive us to set shared goals for everything we do. We will see our product lines holistically, not as a set of islands. We will allocate resources and build devices and services that provide compelling, integrated experiences across many screens in our lives with maximum return to shareholders. All part of the company, we will share and contribute to the success of core offerings like Windows, Windows Phone, Xbox, Surface, Office 365, and our EA offer, Bing, Skype, Dynamics, Azure, and our servers. All part of the company will contribute to activating high-value experiences for our customers. Improving our performance has three big dimensions, focusing on the whole company, on the single strategy, and improving our capability in all disciplines and engineering/technology areas. We are working together with more collaboration and agility around one common goal. This is a big undertaking. It touches nearly every piece of what and how we work. It changes our organizational structure, the way we collaborate, how we allocate resources, how we best empower our engineers, and how we market. Slightly off quote for a second, but Microsoft, of course, has numerous communication problems, especially with gamers, and they themselves actually held themselves extremely accountable for the Xbox One's message, and they have said, and I quote, they will, because of this, reshape how we interact with our customers, developers, and key innovation partners, delivering a more coherent message and family of product offerings. Lots of change, but in all of this, many key things remain the same. Our incredible people, our spirit, our commitment, our belief in transformative power of technology, Microsoft technology to make the world a better place for billions of people and millions of businesses around the world. It's why I came to work inspired every day. It's why we've evolved before and why we're going to evolve now, because we're not done. So, those are some pretty damn strong words. I'm sure you'll all agree. So, what is all of this really regarding? Well, many people have been prophesizing and guessing that Microsoft are wanting to focus heavily on devices and services. They want to basically make things a lot more service-based. Why? Because services you can continue to monetize. As a slight aside, even Adobe themselves, and I'm sure you recognize the name Adobe, of course, they are who you curse when something doesn't work and Flash is asking to update, all the way down to the myriad of Photoshop jokes. And of course, they produce various products, both from us as consumers, all the way to, say, myself in businesses, if we're using, say, professional level creative suites. And so they themselves are starting now to focus not on standalone products, but cloud-based offerings, and more to the point, they're starting to allow you to download their software on a 30-day, almost like a lease. So every 30 days, it will check with the on the internet. Okay, he's still got the license and allow you to keep playing. So this is quite important because let's say you don't have a connection for say 15 days, the software will still work, but obviously you'll lose a few of the services, like say, for example, the cloud storage. They themselves know that this actually, in the long run, turns out that it actually makes them a lot more money if you actually do the math on this. But obviously, short term, it's a bit of a cash save for your business, but long term, you're paying a lot more because let's say you just choose not to update from, say, CS4, just as a pure aside to CS5, instead you decided to stay to CS6, well, in which case, obviously, you can do that. But they've also decided to do things such as change how version updating works as well. Microsoft are very much getting in this as well with Office 365, and they're really pushing that. I've noticed that in my business life, and I'm noticing that even on my home life as well, because it just makes sense for them to start pushing this. They're also starting to push Exchange for email, and they're starting to push their various services, as I've mentioned previously, like Windows Azure. I have done a video on Windows Azure and what it is, how it works, and of course we are aware completely that that powers the various technologies behind the Xbox. It also, of course, has just had over 700 million and something US dollars splurged upon it, I tell you, in various data centers, and they're actually planning on spending a hell of a lot more on it as well. So all of these technologies are starting to really come together, and Microsoft are definitely under the purpose of getting these various services, and that was one of the reasons that the online connectivity for the Xbox, that always online requirement, was really there. Many analysts, and it's not very difficult, you don't have to be a particular analyst to realize that, hang on, they're starting to focus on products and services, and of course that's how originally they wanted to go about making the Xbox One. It's not very difficult to realize that that was to tie into this vision. Also, you'll notice that family sharing now is starting to become back on the table, because some users are starting to ask for it. Now, I'm not, begrudging this. I actually quite liked it as an innovation, but no doubt this will only be available for those of us who, say, purchase a game digitally, because it, well, can't really work any other way, unless, of course, it somehow ties the license to your game if you've put the disc in. But, of course, we realise that that's not the case, because there's no license per game anymore. It's not like the game installs on the hard drive. So, in other words, if I want to give, just for example, a title from the Xbox to my buddy Tom, then I can. I don't know why I keep using Tom as a name. I think it's just because it's easy to say and remember. Regardless, you get the basic idea. And so the family sharing, obviously, if we were to buy a title digitally, a couple of developers, a couple of publishers, and a couple of even well-known figureheads in the industry have said, look, Microsoft are going to do this. They're going to push the services of the Xbox One. And so, they wouldn't even be surprised. I mean, this is their words, they're not mine. By all means, you can Google and you'll find various references to this, and they'll say, look, they're basically going to start pushing the DLCs. They're going to start pushing cheaper pre-order bonuses or specific pre-order bonuses for the digital titles for the sheer purposes of allowing you to be tempted, or to promote you to be tempted, shall I say, on a digital distribution of the game rather than a traditional disc-based medium. Anyway, I think that's just about it for this particular video. Hopefully you found it somewhat interesting. I will see you soon. Take care and bye for now.